Check, check, test, test. Check, check. Alright guys, I think we're good. We're going to go straight into this because we are a little bit behind the German stream. So I'm going to play a little bit of catch-up here and do our best. This is going to be Acer Teamstory Cup Axiom versus Teamliquid. And this is to decide whether or not Axiom goes through to the finals or whether or not they will be eliminated. So we're going to find out right now as we go directly into this game. This will be cast from replays. I have no idea what the result is, so let's kick it off. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, my scoreboard has disappeared. It's been a while since I've done this. Hang on. There we go. There we go. Nice and easy. Welcome, welcome to the Acer Teamstory Cup Best of 9 series between this guy right here. He is Teamliquid Snoot in the blue trunks playing Zerg to the northeast of this particular map, Neoplanet S, versus his opponent to the southwest position in the red trunks playing Protoss. It is Axiom Alicia. Alright, well, let's just put it this way. The last series between these guys did not go so well. Alicia was actually the only player to put one on the board, and Tasia finished everybody else off. And this would be a rematch between Alicia and Snoot. Alicia took out Tasia, and then Snoot finished off Alicia for the 5-1 victory. So Alicia looking to get a little bit of vengeance in this particular matchup. Historically, Alicia has done pretty well against Snoot, although it has not been one-sided by any stretch of the imagination. One of the most exciting series in WCS America Season 1 was, in fact, the playoff match between Snoot and Alicia to determine who would go on to be the 5th person to qualify for the season finals. And it was a very, very close series with a lot of very different games. Snoot employed a great deal of different strategies, including the now rather infamous Swarm Host Grinder style, which was very difficult for Alicia and indeed any Protoss to deal with. It happens. So, we will see. As I said, this is from replays, which, unfortunately, not quite as exciting as live casts, but as you're well aware, Alicia and Tasia and TLO are actually away at the Acer ROG right now, which is what I would highly recommend that you watch once this broadcast has concluded. It should be a fairly exciting series, to say the least. It's been a good tournament so far. Alicia has actually qualified for the round of 16, so he's in a group with Dongwei-gu, Welmu, and Elfie. So a lot of PvP, and of course the Grand Dong, who is very difficult to deal with. They're actually friends, if you didn't know that. I suppose a lot of people wouldn't, considering that they were kind of rivals for a while. He was denied his first MLG victory by Dongwei-gu in the finals. Very, very close series. So he came in second there as part of the now ever-shrinking Grand Kong line. But one way or the other, they're actually really good friends. They both flew over together. We actually flew Alicia over a little bit early because Dongwei-gu wanted to fly with Alicia. So there you go. Not entirely surprising. It's a long flight, and Finland is a very strange country filled with Vikings and strange things that go on. Snow. Lots of snow, actually. Should probably watch out for that. I like the fact that Blizzard seems to have managed to implement lag into replays. That's quite impressive. Jesus. Alright, so Snoot having a little look-see. Alicia has not expanded yet. Alicia going for a quite early warp gate, actually. Which is pretty interesting. There's the Cyber Core there. Gone straight into warp gate. Then to Mothership Core. Not a particularly early Mothership Core there. Obviously, not expecting any kind of aggression coming out of Snoot, which seems to be the correct approach. Snoot did get gas, and does have his spawning pool. He's going to mine up to 100 and then go immediately into speed, I would imagine. That would make a certain degree of sense. He doesn't actually have any lings on the field yet, playing very economically focused. It's just about at 100 right now. Just needs to get the minerals for it. There we go, there's 100, and speed immediately starts. So, until speed's done, Alicia doesn't really have to worry about anything. He should be okay. And it's not playing that defensively either. As I said, that very early warp gate tech from him does indicate that he does want to do something with it. Otherwise, you can delay that tech a little bit. And there's no forge down either. He's going to wall off at the front with 2 more gateways. So we will be seeing some pressure coming out of him fairly shortly, I would imagine. This may also involve the Mothership Core if Alicia's a little bit careful with it. does have to watch out for that as well, because that's kind of a problem. If you lose your mothership core at the front, that can be dangerous. There's already 3 queens on the field, so there'll be a decent amount of anti-air. He's going to try and deny this third hatch. He can do that. The thing is, like, this queen will get over there before that happens. However, the sting in the tail with this aggression is the fact that it's followed up by a pylon, and it's going to be that really early warp gate. Warp gate is going to finish before 6.5 minutes. And he's going to try and aggressively deny the third hatchery right here with a few warp-ins. It just looks like the mothership core's out, but Snoot is pretty smart to that. He's got a decent amount of lings out, especially considering that he was able to scout, as you can see, all of these warp gates and the later forge, which means, uh-oh, why would that be happening? Clearly there's some aggression coming in. Spore crawlers coming down, a lot of lings coming down as well. Warp-ins coming in, and he's scouting. He's trying to find the pylon, but he hasn't managed it. He's actually missed it completely. This could be disastrous. This is going to allow the Zealots to get into position here. They don't have +1, so they're not quite as good against this. And there's enough lings to clean this up, but he will kill the queen. So that mothership core can now actually go unchecked. That's kind of a big deal. He's going to have to bring the second queen off, which means he's going to miss injects, which is definitely a pain in the ass. This hatchery finishes, and now the Zealots are on it. That's bad. If that queen had stayed alive, then those lings should have been able to clean up that first set. But as it stands, that's not the case. More lings coming in, taking fire from the mothership core. Not going to try and get this denied. There's a lot of lings flooding this, but the hatchery's down to 375 HP, falling rapidly. Another Zealot falls, another one goes down, but that hatchery will die. And that was the aim of that attack. Successfully pulled off there. The third hatch has been denied. The warp-in did exactly what it needed to do, and there is a solid wall-off at the front, so a ling counter-attack really can't do anything. In response to this, Snoot has gone straight to lair tech, so we're going to be seeing what breaks out of him quite shortly. This will be interesting. Second gas going down. Hasn't taken third or fourth yet. Indicates he doesn't really want to go into muter just yet. He would have started to mine that gas. Well, I mean, you can go a little bit later there, but it would make more sense to kind of mine that gas, especially since he's actually oversaturated on this drone line, as you can see right here. Don't pay too much attention to this, right? That's 19 out of 24. It's like, oh, that's ideal. No, it's not. He's oversaturated. That's not the ideal number for this. So that's a little bit of an unfortunate situation. Snoot's going to roll out right here. Got his lings in position. It's going to break out of the way. Now, if I recall correctly, there's actually a new observer function. There's a couple of new observer functions. You can actually look at units killed. There you go. That's standard. I think actually, yeah, this replay was from the previous patch before they put the UI stuff in, so I can't show you those. That's a shame. We've got 3 more gateways coming out here from Alicia, which is going to be followed by a Warp Prism and +1. Pretty dangerous attack. And we're going to see a Roach Hydra composition coming in here. Oh, these... I don't know what on earth Alicia was playing at here. Lost a bunch of sentries, had to waste an awful lot of force fields to save the rest. Hey, don't get me wrong, he still saved 5 sentries, but that was an unnecessary amount of energy that just got shoved away there. And if he was going to attempt to force field off that ramp, he doesn't now have the energy to really do that effectively. That was kind of silly. There's a lot of lings out on the map there, but there you go. A little bit of a slip up there by Alicia as far as I'm concerned. Overlord's going to deny this potential third, whereas these lings are going to hang around. But it looks to me like Alicia's just dedicated to an aggressive 2-base play. Lings go trying to flank around the side right here. Good force fields throw them back to make sure they can't get in there. But they're going to keep haranguing those forces and maybe try and grab some reinforcements on the way. Yeah, there's no way he's getting through that. Immortal's now on the field as well. There's the warp-in with the Warp Prism up to the top here. It's going to get aggressive. There's actually nothing to stop this. This is going to be messy. +1 Zealots as well. So even if he does bring lings in, that's going to get a little bit unfortunate. There are 10 roaches coming, but he's not really responding all that quickly. I think he suspects, honestly. Yeah, I'm almost certain he suspects, as you can see, that this is the force he needs to worry about, not these warp-ins. But he can't just leave these alone. It's already done a decent amount of damage. 11 workers killed right here by Alicia. Some good damage. 43 drones. It's a really low drone count here for Snoot. It's not what he wants at all. He needs more than that. This base is nowhere near saturated. Even the main is nowhere near saturated right now. So he's got very inefficient mining. Alicia actually just decides to pull back. It's like, hey, I've done damage. Let's do a little bit more Warp Prism nonsense. He even managed to evacuate most of those Zealots out of there, so that works out pretty well for him. It's always nice. He does have a Spore Crawler in place right now, and Hydras are on the way as well, so this harassment will get a little bit less effective. There is no Zealot charge, but +2 is about to come in, as is Blink. So, things are gonna end up being interesting. We still don't have a attempt to tech through the Colossus. So, this Roach Hydra comp will actually work pretty well. It depends how many Immortals really get into the fight. There's about to be 3. Obviously, Hydras deal with Immortals significantly better than Roaches do. A lot of static D coming down. And then we see a big warp in here by Alicia, who wants to try and take out that Hydra Den, and he is going to get it. There's way too many Zealots to stop. That's a nice little pick-off, actually, because there's, well, there are 13 Hydralisks on the field, but that means that reinforcing with the Hydra is going to be difficult. Alicia taking out key structures here. He does, however, have a smaller army than his opponent. You can see army supply here. 77 to 89. And no Colossus tech either. So Roach Hydra will fight pretty well. But we are looking at +2 Blink Stalkers versus +1 ranged. And a bunch of Immortals. And a bunch of Sentries. A lot of force fields put down right there just to catch that Queen out. And now he's going to go for it. To try and commit up against these static defenses. That was a little bit silly. Lost a couple of units right there, but draws some units out of position in the process, traps them. That was a... Not really sure what Snoot was doing there, just going out with a little scouting force. And in the meantime, he's also having to deal with these Zealots. Thankfully, Hydras will deal with Zealots quite well, especially when they don't have speed. And Alicia's fighting in this awkward choke here, but that's better for Alicia than it is for Snoot right now, because that's a fairly roach-heavy force, so fighting in a choke where you can't get all of your roaches to bear can be really awkward. The Hydras do have range, which is always nice, but +3 is well on the way here, and I see no upgrades for Snoot whatsoever. I mean, once it gets down to +3 versus +1 range, especially with a Colossus in, there's no way this composition is going to be able to hold out against this. Snoot's got to do something. And right now, he just doesn't have the economy for it. There's been too much damage done. 13 workers killed, and the 3rd denied so early on in the game. And Alicia's content with that. He's like, you know what? This is risky. I could cause my opponent just to swell units and try and surround me here. And the counterattack comes in from Snoot towards the 3rd base. Attempted Warp Prism Harass was thrown back here at the natural. Colossus now in play. No range here. Got to be a little bit careful with the positioning. This is a good angle for Snoot, honestly. But will he be able to make it work? There are a lot of Immortals here. This Colossus is not dead. And with the Sentries and double Time Warp, that's a lot of damage done to Snoot's army right here. He plummets below Alicia's supply. Not a good position to be in, especially with +3 about to finish. I don't see a way out of this for Snoot, honestly. I really don't. I mean, Alicia would have to be caught at such an absurdly bad angle to actually lose this army. He's going to Hive, but for what purpose? He doesn't have the upgrades to really support this. Looks like he's going to try and get Vipers out, which kind of makes sense, but even then, you're still stuck on a Roach Hydra Viper Force, which is +1 versus +3. Right now, he just doesn't have a way of dealing with these Colossi. And with Extended Thermal Lance about to finish, Snoot's about to be in a world of trouble. This is not looking good for our Zerg player. In the meantime, Snoot attempted counterattack thrown back here. The Roaches can break this. It won't be that costly either. They should be able to make their way in. That's forcing Alicia back, so... The problem is, he's going to kind of trade a bunch of Roaches to make that happen. And if he keeps trying to do that, to try and keep his own base alive, then his army's eventually going to be picked apart. 13 more Roaches on the way. Hive Tech is on the way. It looks like Snoot's just trying to buy time in order to actually get that Hive Tech up and get the Vipers on the field to deal with those Colossi. It's also a Blinkstalker heavy army, so Blinding Cloud would be quite useful. The funny thing is, there's actually no Zealots in this composition at all. It's got 2, but they're not actually there. Warp Prism Harass has ended for the time being. The Warp Prism was shot down. And now we're looking for big Blinkstalker aggression. Against this kind of army, this should work really well. I mean, it's +3 right now. These guys are just getting absolutely ripped to shreds. Force fields are good. A little bit inefficient over to the right side there, but it doesn't really matter that much. Snoot is in huge amounts of trouble right now. Alicia is battering his way through here. There really is nothing Snoot can do to actually stop this. This will be over any moment now by the looks of it, as Alicia tries to put the final nail in the coffin, cleans up the army, and there's the GG. Very nicely done there by Alicia. Snoot is dealt with in fine style. And that means that we are 1 game in favor of Axiom. And we'll be seeing who comes out next. I will find out that for you momentarily. We'll be going straight into the game, folks, since we're a little bit behind the German stream, so I want to play a bit of catch-up here. And I shall tell you who is next on the board as my StarCraft 2 crashes. It will take a second, folks. Good lord. Ugh. It's not even my net that's unreliable today, it's StarCraft. It's quite embarrassing, really. I'll be there in a second. Oh, for crying out loud. It's crashed again. This new patch has screwed a lot of things up, actually. One thing we did discover is that the patch has broken the watch together feature, which is really strange, and unfortunately it's crashing the game an awful lot more than it used to. So you'll have to bear with me here, I'm afraid. Come on. Thank you. There we go. Alright. So, next up for Teamliquid, who have we got? It's going to be TLO, so it's going to be another Zerg player. Alright. We will see how that goes for them. With TLO on the way. And we're going to get right into this game, I think. Assuming that StarCraft doesn't crash again. That would be nice. Gonna swap the colors around. Alright. Second game is on the way, folks. TLO versus Axiom Alicia here. Axiom has got to win this game. They have to win the entire series, otherwise they do not go to the playoffs. Teamliquid fighting for position here. There is the possibility that if Axiom were to win decisively, they would end up being in second place. And here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to Newkirk, and this is Liquid TLO. In the red trunks, he is playing Zerg to the southeast of this particular map, Teamliquid. Versus his opponent in the southwest position, playing Protoss. Currently up one map in this best-of-9 team series, it is Axiom Alicia. Alright, well, Snoot, unfortunately, everything kind of went wrong for him there. Alicia went for a very early aggressive play, early warp gate, 3-gate pressure with Mothership Core. Its purpose, to deny the third base. It succeeded in doing just that. Snoot wasn't really able to handle that. At that point, Snoot was back on 2 bases, not the position he clearly wanted to be in, considering he took that early third. We then had Alicia with a Warp Prism, get aggressive, do yet more damage to the economy of his opponent. Snoot was forced down to a very low drone count, relatively speaking, and that allowed Alicia to start building up a tech advantage and eventually take his third base uncontested. At that point, things got really messy. Stuck on 2 bases for too long as a Zerg player, with limited tech versus a basically untouched 3-base Protoss. We had Snoot sitting defensively as much as he can. He tried a little bit of a counterattack, but he lost an awful lot in the process. So it didn't really work out for him. He didn't try and do damage to third base. We didn't see any Ling run-bys or anything like that because he was focused on trying to hold that force back. And once it was Immortal, Colossus, with +3, with no Vipers, no Corruptors, no way. Even if he had Corruptors, it was going to be very difficult. There were 26 +3 Blinkstalkers. They would have died very quickly. It's going to be Hatchery first right here for TLO on 16 supply. Pretty late Hatchery there. Straight. Oh, we're not actually going to go straight in the spawning pool. Are we going to see 3 hatch before pool here? We might. Oh, where's he going? That looks, yeah, looks like 3 hatch before pool here from TLO. Alright, getting nice and greedy. Pretty much as greedy as you can get. So he takes that 16 hatch, and then he takes another hatchery on 17. And his pool will eventually come down at some point. There we go. Pool's going to be at the back. So this pool is really late. Very late. And interestingly enough, Alicia's actually building an early Zealot. I wonder if he'll send that across the map, because if he does, that could actually cause a few problems. Mothership Core isn't following up just yet here from Alicia. He's still focusing on probes. Hasn't expanded yet either. So it's a Cyber Core before expansion here. Will we see that early aggression? We will. A 3-minute 40 warp gate immediately. Pretty much as early as you can get it. At least sensibly at any rate. If you had, say, an 11 gateway, then you can get that Cyber Core a little bit earlier. But even then, that is an early warp gate. So I imagine we're going to see the same strategy. That was Cyber Core warp gate into Nexus, then 2 gateways at the front, and then pressure. And honestly, TLO kind of has the wrong build to deal with this. Like, he will get this hatchery up much, much earlier, but this is going to delay everything of his. It's going to slow down speed, and this is gas on 24, so no speed. He's going to have limited numbers of Lings to handle this. So if this pressure does come out from Alicia, following up with a sentry here, haven't got those 2 gateways at the front yet. So, you know, it looks like the same build, but he also has a second assimilator going down. We'll see. Maybe he decides to do something else, but with Warp Gate coming out so early, it doesn't make sense to see tech. I'm going to see a slightly more defensive build. Oh, no, we're not. It looked like we were. He was going to put down a forge, now he's going to put down 2 gateways, so he's almost certainly going to hit that 3rd base. This could really be bad for TLO. I mean, there's no chance of him having speed. Not a hope. By the time this hits, no way. Alicia's going to head on out. He's going to see that 3rd base. And I can only imagine that he's going to try and bop him right there. Forge out a little bit earlier here for Alicia, compared to last game. Early Roach Warren, though, for TLO. That's a nice decision. Roach Warren before Metabolic Boost is actually a really good idea. Roaches will deal way, way better with gateway units than Slowlings, certainly. So you can finish the Roach Warren way before you can finish your Metabolic Boost, so you can get those Roaches out and start to defend. Now, there's a bit of a scout on. TLO knows what he's up against now. He saw the gateways at the front here. There's the pylon. So Alicia is going to go for this big attack. He's going to be met with roaches this time around. One has to wonder if they'll come out in time. Looks like they should. That pylon's about to finish up, as is the roach warren. And the TLO is going to immediately build roaches, but he also built a couple of drones. So he's actually... Does he have lava? There's his next set of lava. Does he have the money? No, he does not. Roaches reasonably mineral heavy at this stage. He doesn't have the money to actually get a lot of roaches in play. Alicia looks like he's actually going to go for a second warp in before he applies this pressure. He's going to go knock, knock, knock on that door. TLO built a round of drones. I think TLO's misreading this. He builds only 2 roaches. He should be building nothing but roaches at this point, because otherwise these zealots are just going to go and absolutely gut this base. Is the lava available to build roaches? There's 4 lava. Will he figure it out? Alicia hasn't seen it yet. TLO still has not spotted it. Alicia's keeping this really well hidden. Oh no, he's built 7 more drones. Yeah, this is... I think this is bye-bye to that 3rd base. Alicia might even wait for a 3rd warp in and just go for it. This really... TLO is getting kind of played here. He doesn't understand what's coming at him. He's waiting for +1 by the looks of it. Alicia's cooldown's almost done. Gets a few sentries at the front. Alicia actually a bit paranoid about a counterattack. That was utterly unnecessary, as it turns out. But Alicia didn't really have the scouting information. She's going to go straight for the natural. Oh, wow. 3 more zealots coming in here. There's nowhere near enough defenses to handle this right now. There's more roaches coming in. Maybe Alicia might have waited too long, but it looks like he's actually going to go for a combined attack. He's going to go for the 3rd and the natural at once. Looking to deny that hatchery. It's already down to half health. Drones coming in for the surround right here, and the zealots turn around and just absolutely massacre the drone line with that +1 and continue to work on it. Will he get this hatchery? Looks like he's more interested in killing drones and lings right now, so he has weakened it, but he hasn't killed it, and that's going to get cleaned up. This warp in comes in, and it looks to try and take down more drones. If he'd focused the hatchery, he could have actually killed that. I wonder if that was a mistake. We'll find out after this. It's about to get cleaned up here. And that is 15 workers killed, but 10 more on the way. It was a lot of damage, but I really think taking that hatchery out would have made way more difference. He could have done it. It was under 300 HP, and Alicia going for that kind of counterattack and not focusing the hatchery, instead trying to kill drones. Maybe that wasn't really what he was supposed to be doing. That doesn't weaken TLO all that much. He was 3 hatch, so bear in mind that his drone count's going to be high. Killing off that drone count doesn't really help you that much, so maybe that wasn't a good idea. We're not seeing a warp prism play out of Alicia this time around. There's the roach counterattack coming in across the map. He's got plenty of sentries to deal with this, so this shouldn't be too much of a problem, especially since that Immortal's out. Twilight Council coming in as well. +1 ground armor. A little bit of tickling going on. Mothership Core just trying to do a little bit of damage where it can. 18 workers killed up to this point, but still 64 drones, so not ideal. A hallucinated warp prism. That's cute. Haven't seen many of those. That's just trying to bait out a response from TLO here. Saying, oh, it's double warp prism play. Ah! It's actually just single warp prism play, but it's not even that. That's been revealed now. I wonder if he'll follow it up with a real warp prism out of that. Mind games. TLO moving back into a defensive position, and yeah, he's in a decent spot right now. A little bit low on tech, like if I was to point at anything, because he's still on no upgrades at all. And +2 and blink is on the way, and it looks like that's what Alicia's gearing up for. +2 blink attack with Immortals and Sentries, and then into Colossus. Will he wait, or will he knock on the door? But it's fairly safe for him to do it. The Mothership Core is up with full energy. He could very easily attack that third base and get out of there without too much of a problem. Even if the Mothership Core dies, he still has huge amounts of force fields. So it's definitely worth trying to go in here, and then you could follow that attack up with the +2. +2 is about 80 seconds away from completion without Chrono Boost. Currently, he's not chronoing that. What is the Chrono Boost currently going into, actually? Can't say. Not at this point. In the meantime, Alicia is looking to do damage here. He's in a good position. He's got, like, 2 retreat paths. He should be absolutely fine here. Down go the force fields. Not ideal. But, uh-oh. He's got to be careful there. There is the Time Warp and Hydra DPS. Not quite enough to take that down. Third base looks like it is going to get denied here. That was a nice run by here by TLO, I gotta say. There it is. There's the cancel. What I'm more worried about here is what happens when TLO gets hit by the full brunt of this Protoss army. TLO is actually posturing to get aggressive, though. He has a massive army supply advantage, 98 to 57, but he doesn't have the tech. And this army is really powerful. It's going to be +2 when this attack hits, versus +0. Hydra speed is on the way. It's a very Hydra-heavy army. This Colossus doesn't have range. So if this Colossus is out of position, then this could rapidly turn in the favor of TLO here. TLO also has a 4th base on the way up to the side. It's really interesting. What we're going to see coming up here from TLO. 180 supply to 120. This is a lot of stuff. Admittedly, he is fighting into a choke, which is definitely not ideal, especially with these force fields warded off right now. And that is Colossus range pretty much done. Alright, well, this is bad. You might think, oh, well, that's a huge army. Yeah, but it's Colossus with range against a large Hydra force with no upgrades. These Hydras are going to die incredibly fast. Big stack of dead everything right there to the south, and rapidly army supply falls here for TLO, who is trying to get out of there as quickly as he can, but Blinkstalkers will be able to get aggressive and pick off more of that. There's another Blink to pick off another Hydralisk, and Alicia is now posturing. Army supply is much more even now. It's still in favor of TLO, but not by enough to make a difference with these kind of upgrades and this kind of composition. +1 for both range and armor is coming on the way, but I don't think Alicia is going to give him the time. He wants to go and try and knock on that third base. That door is wide open right now. Got more spine crawlers coming down. Alicia looking to do damage. Pylons in place as well. Needs to try and hit before these upgrades, really, and there we go. Going for it right now. This third base is pretty much going to die here. There's really no way to stop it. There's so much firepower here in this army. I do not see TLO being able to handle it. He's going to have to abandon that base. He does have one up to the side, which is going to be handy. Not really sure what TLO's trying to do here. He's trying to get a position on this army, but there's a warp prism. Oh, there isn't. There's a Mothership Core. Actually, it doesn't have the energy to recall, so it doesn't really matter. Even if it didn't, this is a highly upgraded army. These small forces are just getting torn to pieces. The force field's in position. Nice move in there by TLO to snipe off a Colossus, but this army is a little bit too mobile. It's got a little bit too much firepower. This is not going to matter, and that backfires on TLO. He takes a lot of army supply damage, and Alicia takes the lead. This is not looking good for him. Units lost, as you can see, there's a huge difference between the two. TLO has taken a lot of damage. Efficient engagements here from Alicia. TLO, unlike Snoot, however, at least is able to get up to Viper Tech, but I'm still a little bit worried for him. We're not seeing +3 from Alicia, actually. He's all on the units right now. No upgrades. No anything. And he's actually just on 2 bases. Bear that in mind. He's getting pretty heavily mined out. So this is a big 2-base all-in play now from Alicia. Maybe he can expand behind this if he kills his third base off. But, oh, the Roach is getting really, really close. The force fields are not good there from Alicia, but it doesn't really seem to matter. There are too many Blink Stalkers and too much Colossus and Immortal firepower. TLO is losing hard. GG. And there it is, a quick victory for Alicia once again. All right. Well, that's 2-0 in favor of Axiom right now. I'll see who they send out next. So that's 2 foreign players sent out. It's most likely that we will see Korean player come out next.